not one person. Hello, whoever's ghosting. Is it you? Oh, it's you. Waiting for people if somebody's there. Hi, just waiting for more people. Seems like everybody's doing a live stream right now, even though I freaking said I was doing it now. Hi, Posey. How are you? We love you. How are you? Hello, 4 people. I got some stories to tell you. It is you, Posey. How are you? How is everybody who's watching? I've got some stories from my old psychiatric journals and one from just a journal in general. Just thought it'd be a little fun. Aw, we love you too. We're just seeing if anybody else will kind of show up to hear our stories, because we are deleting this after. Okay. Let's see. I just wish I knew who was in here. I actually wear glasses. My alters won't wear them. They're such butt heads. They're ruining my vision, guys. I had to like go out of my way to wear my glasses today. So it's really hot. Who's ready for some wild stories from my life? Some water. Oh, thank you, Posey. I appreciate that. Hello, Saylakin. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We love you too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, you guys ready for some stories? I'm going to start reading because this is from 2000 and guess when? Because I'm 150 years old. It's from 2010. 2010. Some people were probably only 10 in 2010. And so, well, I guess people are just going to miss out. You don't want to hear some awesome stories from a crazy person? Then I guess you're going to miss out. Oh, am I James? I don't know who I am right now, but I'm not Brandy. Hello. Oh, can you guys hear the lo-fi hip-hop music? Is it too loud? Is it too low? Can you not hear it at all? Well, it's not playing right this second. 1 second. Why isn't it playing? Okay, so he started some lo-fi hip-hop, if you guys can hear it. Hello. I mean, I might be James. I get confused about who I am. I just like, it's not Brandy, though. Maybe James. I think I might be James. Maybe I'm Flair. No, I'm Flair. Yeah, Flair does that with my face. Okay. Okay, so here we go. This is from February 16th, 2010. And remember, I'm 100 years old. So it's not going to necessarily be the most politically correct thing in the world. So I hope you can handle it. Hope you can handle it. So this is a journal. And I was reading them this morning to my partner, and he's like, these are hilarious and emotional and sad and cool, so you should read them. So, gonna read you some. The next stories will be from the hospital. This is from when I was taken by the cops, hunted down by the cops, and put in the hospital.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Okay.
That was Sela's birthday.
Oh, really?
The day of the journal entry, I think.
It was your birthday? Oh my God, that's so cool. It's like a sign, Sela. It's a sign. Everybody, Sela's birthday was on the day of this journal entry. Freaking amazing. That's awesome. Happy birthday. Okay, so here we go. Now, I'm just going to read what I wrote. This is what I was writing, I guess, back then. And, you know, some of it's sad, some of it's funny, you know. It's, you know, mentally ill people stuff. So here we go. Today, desperation, anxiety, bloated despair had me locked, suicidal. I arrived at my psychiatrist's around 2:30. He invited me in 5 minutes early, emphasizing this particular kindness with, even 5 minutes early. I was in no mood to be impressed. I did not respond. We walked down the hall into the usual office, automatically dimmed the lights, and began. Honestly, I can't even picture this doctor at this point. This is how bad my memory is. I remember his name, but I can't picture him. Okay. So we sat in the office, lights and whatever dimmed. I sat on the flower beige and forest green love seat with 2 navy throw pillows. See, I used to write in a lot of detail because I always planned to write a memoir, so I wanted to have color. Hello, Celestia Meadows. Thank you for being here. You guys make this channel. You make everything. So just know that. We appreciate it. So, okay. I sat on the love seat with 2 navy throw pillows, stared at the lame attempted abstract expressionist paintings he bought from a painter friend, Derivative Jackson Pollock. Derivative Jackson Pollock meets college art student, because I'm a bitch sometimes. I'm sorry. Let me see. He asked me the usual introductory question. How has the week been for you? I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. My mouth a blotch of rubber cement. Tension was building. Wait, hold on. Oh God, I can't even read my handwriting sometimes. Okay, he said, we can sit here in silence with the little time we have if that helps, he says. No, I think. No, dipshit. That wasn't help. It will be pretty fucking harmful, potentially lethal. The gulf widens. I realize he won't understand. He has decided on oblivious as a course of action. Looking up, then taking notes and taking notes and taking more notes, gazing at the computer screen, which never failed to infuriate me. Later, he'll pick up on this, mention the anger. I'm staring at him like a furious child. Oh, by the way, this is way before I knew I had DID. I didn't know I had DID, okay? So you're going to see what it was like for me having DID but not knowing it. Okay, staring up at him like a furious child, pout and gaze of death, staring daggers, darts, knitting needles, anything sharp and piercing. Finally, he says, what are you feeling right now? I want to slit my wrists, light myself on fire, die violently and absolutely. But I say, I feel like a balloon with too much air ready to pop. Because I'm not dumb, okay? I'm not going to say the thing that's going to get you locked up. Oh, I went to school for writing. Thank you. Okay. Do I need to be concerned, he asks? As if concern is something I can instruct him to be. My hands are jammed in my front pocket of my black stupidity causes cancer hoodie, because I'm that girl. I'm thumbing a razor, rubbing it across my skin, turning it over and over like a coin, like a lucky coin. There was a pack of 5 in my pocket. So you see, I was not well. I'm wishing he'd take them from me, save me from them. He doesn't notice, isn't curious, refuses to ask about my refusal to reveal my hands, because why would he ask me that? Like, that's really a ridiculous thing for me to expect of another person, like they're psychic. But I did, because I was a brat. He turns to the computer, asks if I need to be admitted to Vista. Vista is the psychiatric hospital I was often sent to. Knowing I'd never agree, never volunteer, even if my life depended on it, which it did. Why would you ask that, I quip? You know, acute care and hospitals in general do me no good. They actually do more harm than good. They'll keep you safe, he says. They'll keep you, okay, I think, safe from a wrongful, negligent death lawsuit. Hospitals are no place for the chronic. What's 72 hours but a postponement? They only function, wait, hold on. The only function they have is for the newly minted depressive, the first-time attempter who will likely see the error of her way and never attempt again. I say, so only the newly sick can be helped? Now remember, as I'm writing this, I wasn't well, obviously, okay? So some stuff's going to be in there. Let me see what it says over here. Thank you. Yeah, being open can hurt. Being open is scary. It is scary, Posey. Okay, so wait, he said this. He goes, so only the newly sick can be helped, he posits? Not even them, I think. I don't want to see the other doctor, I say. Okay, he says, if I leave, will you stay? No, I say. Why not? You'll call the cops. You've known me long enough to know I won't do that. I think I haven't known you long at all. Are you going to stay? He asks. What have you been writing? I ask. What you're wearing, that you're more quiet, sullen than usual, notes on your appearance. You won't call the cops? No. He leaves. I wait. Firebombs bursting within, feeling confined in my skin, needing horribly, pathetically needing release. I take out my razor, cut half a leaf off the office plant, because I'm that bitch, I guess. I don't know why I did that. Let it fall to the ground, to the carpet. He comes back with Dr. Blank, because I'm not going to give names. A soft-spoken, glasses-wearing lizard of a man. I don't know. Thin patient. It appears you're having a more difficult time than usual, he drones. I guess, I say. Have you considered medications? I don't know. Depakote's an option, he inserts. He thinks I'm bipolar. Why would he offer a mood stabilizer otherwise? No, I say. Doctor says a few more innocuous things and disappears out the door. Wow, my psychologist or psychiatrist explains. There are two doctors, remember. You didn't make eye contact with Dr. Blank at all. I get up, walk hurriedly out the door, down the hall. My psychiatrist follows, waving the stupid insurance paper. Brandy, he says. I ignore him. I rush out the door, into the waiting room, down the hall, the stairs, another hall, into the sunlight. I'm racing toward my car, relieved, devastated, ready to open an artery. I drive through the parking garage, ready to hit the booth, when I realize I don't have the $4 fee. I don't have any cash, I say to the squat black teller lady. That's a $30 citation, she tells me. What? I thought I could mail in one of those envelopes. Nope, the policy changed January 1st. No money, you get a citation. There's an ATM in the building, I say. She says if you want to back up, you can. There was a car behind me. I'll get him to move, she says, walking out the booth. So she was cool. Flustered, I am still ready to die. I say, I don't give a shit. Just give me the citation. Right? Obviously. You sure? She asks. Yeah. She leaves the back. She leaves the back. Well, I don't know what I wrote here. She leaves something, walks to the back of the car, writes down my tag number, hands over the citation, sends it to the address. She sends it to the address on back. She says. I pull out, drive away crying, the world crumbling. I drive down Archer, turn on 34th, recklessly, and continue weeping, looking at the time, 3:18 p.m. I wonder why Joey, my counselor, hasn't called. I had a lot of doctors and therapists, but nobody knew I had DID, so none of it, helped. Okay. You see, I double booked and chose my psychologist over my counselor. It was the first appointment with my counselor I'd missed. I turn up the radio, rock music, modern, dull. Just as I'm crossing Archer Road, Joey calls. Oh, shit, yeah. Okay, that's my counselor, Joey. Sorry. I'm giving no last name, so this isn't really identifying information, okay? Okay. I'm quiet, choking back tears. I speak listlessly, slowly. I haven't heard you like this in a long time, he says. I babble about death, razor blades, split arteries, taking long pauses. He coos back, active listening, repeating me. Then he tells me how sad he'd be if I died, how he'd invested in me, etc. I apologize, tell him I have to go, that I'm wasting his time. This time is your reserved time, he says. I pull into the Oaks Mall parking lot, glance at the clock, 3:42 p.m. My usual appointment ends at 4. I tell him to erase me from his schedule because I won't be coming back because that's who I was. He tells me it disturbs him to think about that. I don't believe him. I park, thrust the seat back, speak distantly, hazily, everything far off. The blood from the last time is spattered on the ceiling, I say. a constellation of blood. When was the last time, he asks. About 1.5 years ago. Silence. I have to go. I have to do this, I say. Don't go. I have to. I can bleed out in seconds. A doctor told me that once. I was a terrible brat. I'm sorry. Let me see. I don't want you to go, Brandy. I'm really worried for you, he said. Don't, I say. I don't know what to do. You want me to come there? Would you, he asked. Well, if you'll promise to let me leave after, I say. I can't promise that. I tell him he needs to go. He has a client. He says, no. He says he'll stay on as long as necessary. Fortunately for him, necessary coincided with his next appointment. The call ended before 4. I sat there stupefied. More confirmation that no one really does give a shit. I was trouble, man. Yeah, I don't know. Because at the time I didn't know I had DID, so I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe I'll figure it out one day. So no confirmation that really nobody gives a shit, especially when it conflicts with their schedules. I thumb the razor, a rush of elation, a sense of mischievousness, like I'm pulling a fast one. I get out of the car, decide to take one last stroll around the mall. I go to Torrid, stare aimlessly at the young hip clothes, jeans ripped and tees with skulls, pin-up 50s dresses, lingerie. I think of my partner, the Valentine's Day I promised him. Suddenly, I'm awash with guilt, an alloyed sort of guilt mixed with resentment. I don't want to have to be alive for the sake of others, for everyone else's peace of mind. I told you, trigger warnings. They don't much concern themselves with my peace of mind. I try on a few things, lingerie, but none of it fits. I putter around the store. I call my partner, assure him I'm fine. I'm at the mall. He tells me he tells me he came home from work early. We chat. Then he says the cops are here. So the cops went to my house, and I'm at the mall. The worst sentence in the English language. The cops are here. They say you threatened to kill yourself, he says. I let out a nervous laugh. It's all a misunderstanding, I giggle. He puts the cop on the line. She's interrogating me. Is this Brandy? Yes. Did you talk to someone named Joey today? Yes. I'm nervous. Voice almost trembling. Words tumbling out too fast, suspiciously fast. My hair pricking up. Do you have razors on you? The razors! Gotta ditch the razors. Thank God she reminded me. I ditched them in a planter. Little green box of 5. I straighten my clothes, look around, a fugitive. Can we meet up? I just need to see you're okay, she says. Yeah. Okay, where, she says. Wherever's convenient for you. Want me to come to the apartment? You're at the mall? Yes. Where? What? I say. Where? Which stores are you near? I'm at Torrid. Okay. In my mind runs. They're coming. 2, 3, maybe 4 of them. Black-suited, buttoned-up, giant manifest reapers coming to murder my current self. A self carefully constructed and at least half bullshit. I'm the 32-year-old woman, devoted girlfriend, aspiring writer, voracious reader who no longer contemplates suicide, who finds it passé, immature, counterintuitive to my goals and accumulated wisdom. I'm beyond all that. I'm normal. Stay there, she says. We have someone stationed in the mall. We need to see that you're physically all right. Okay, I say. She hangs up. I want to hightail it out of there. I want to get in my car and drive to Saturn, to Pluto, nowhere on this planet far enough. People stroll by. Hi, Chocolate Uwu. How are you? Yeah, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was me or somebody else. I just don't know. Somebody with a sense of humor. I'm pretty dramatic. Okay, let's see. People stroll by, bags in hand, clip-clopping their way to their next purchase. They smile, chat, maintain direction. They don't see the sudden gulf, the widening, dizzying gulf beneath your feet. They are blind to that. They have no sense for it. You, on the other hand, have a sixth sense, a seventh sense, an undesirable ability to see it all. The machinery of life, see what comprises this world, this present, the trick and trap of everything. Or so I believe. You shiver, break into a mild sweat, realize you're incredibly thirsty, so fucking thirsty. The kind of thirsty that makes you cry. You wonder where you can get water before the cops haul you off to the loony bin. You spin around, look, a candy store with a soda display. You speed walk over, small steps, body erect, as if perfect posture translates into sanity. Buy a bottle. Dasani, a Coke product. Think, who are they fooling? They're being the Coca-Cola Corporation, kings of high fructose corn syrup and caffeine and ingredients no human tongue can untangle. You pay with a card, sign the receipt, take surreptitious glances in all directions. Where are they? You imagine they are suiting up, laying out strategy, assassins stationed, covering every possible escape route. You picture bulletproof vests, shotguns, artillery. It's absurd, all of it. You're just one woman, 5'1", an embarrassingly slow runner. Such preparation couldn't possibly be necessary. You pace, then remember pacing could appear manic. You stand still, casual, lean against the wall, smooth your clothes, your hair. Hygiene, neatness, a sign of an orderly mind. Your palms grow moist. Then you see her. A tiny middle-aged woman moving towards you, glancing around, short-haired, squat. It's me, I offer. Brandy? Yes. So what's going on? She questions me, then says, you mind if we go outside? I say, listen, I'm not going to run or resist in any way because, once they take you outside, it means they're going to take you. They're going to take you, okay? She takes me out of her car, pats me down, handcuffs me behind my back. My left shoulder feels like it's going to break. I keep wiggling my fingers so my hands don't fall asleep. She tells me to get in the car. I don't know how. Go in sideways, she says. And she drove me to the mental hospital. And that's one of my journal entries from 2010 when the cops came to the mall to get me and take me to the mental hospital. I got in a lot of trouble like that when I was younger. Yeah, at some point it was like then it turned to you. So maybe there was one alter writing and then another alter started writing. I didn't even notice that until I was reading it this time. It's a good thing you pointed out, Posey. But yeah, that is my life. It was, especially when I was in my 20s, my teens, my 20s, even into my early mid-30s. I was constantly being hunted down by the cops and dragged off to hospitals. I was just a mess because I didn't know I had DID. When you don't know, you have a bunch of personalities that have their own mental health issues and they're going to do stuff and you don't even approve of the stuff they do. You end up in the hospital a lot. A lot. And I can't even count the times I've been hospitalized, honestly, because I started getting hospitalized when I was 14 or 15 was my first hospitalization. And I've been going to hospitals ever since because in my teens, I actually was in hospitals from the age of, 14 or 15 to almost 18. So I spent about 3.5 years in psych hospitals straight. I never went home. I was transferred from hospital to hospital. And I was at 2 different hospitals. So one I was at for a while, then another I was at for a while. Oh, I know. My protectors must have been like, bitch, you need to stop this shit. You crazy mofo. What are you doing to us? But, I didn't know I had protectors. All I knew was I had really strong emotions that I felt like I couldn't control, that felt both physical, emotional, mental, and I couldn't control it. and I would have outbursts. And also, I knew I had a terrible memory. A terrible memory. So that's just sort of how it was. And I also knew that I acted different at different times, or sometimes I didn't have the information I thought I should have, or I wasn't as clever as I thought I should be. You know what I mean? Like, it just changed, you know, over time. But like the next journal is actually from inside a psych hospital. And it was just everything I thought about. Like the beginning of it is all in crayon, because they would only let me have crayons. But then they started letting me have markers. I'm going to read the marker stuff because the crayon stuff is so old that I'd have to type it because I can't read all of it. And it would be like stop and start. Yeah. But I will read you. Let me see. Let's see where we start on this one. Okay, I do actually have to read a little bit of crayon to tell this story. This is the day I ran away from the psych hospital. And I escaped for like briefly, like a minute. Okay.
ECT.
Oh yeah. This is when I was getting electroconvulsive therapy. Yeah, Posey, that can happen. I would call a relationship with someone for several months and had no idea. I thought he was abusing me because I knew somebody was doing something with me, but I couldn't figure out why, and I found out who. So for years, I thought he was a bad person, but it turned out he was just dating one of my alters. Oh, I had electroshock therapy. So, it's called electroconvulsive therapy. I've had both bilateral and unilateral ECT. I've had it a number of, you get it in a series. I have a video that I'm working on right now that's going to be out about ECT. Because, I think it's a tool that people can use. And it's not as scary as people think. It did not damage my brain, just put it that way. So this is when I was getting electroconvulsive therapy. But my psychiatrist was also threatening to send me to the state hospital. And I'd been to the state hospital once before, and it was the worst thing that ever happened in my adult conscious life. So I would have done anything not to go to state. And this doctor, And so guess which day I decided to run away from the hospital? April 1st, April Fool's Day. I don't know. Just a coincidence. Okay, so on April 1st, 2011, this is, so 10 years ago now, I ran from ECT, attempted to run into traffic and die. I went to ECT on Friday with every intention of receiving ECT. LaShawn was my one-to-one. I was on one-to-one, because they didn't trust me. LaShawn was my one-to-one. Takara was accompanying. Jonathan, the suspected malingerer, we left around 7:30, 8 a.m. on the Shands rehab bus. So you take the bus, you go to the other hospital, get the ECT, go back to the other hospital. Yeah. Let me see. On the 5th floor, Unit 52, I prepared by dressing in 2 hospital gowns and allowed Angela to insert my IV. She had to do it because my veins are hard to hit. She works miracles with a needle. She has a tattoo of a cardinal on her right arm. If I had no intention of getting ECT, I wouldn't have bothered getting dressed and getting the IV. LaShawn, Takar, and I played Rummy 500. As we played, I leaned towards LaShawn and said, if the anesthesiologist is a woman, I'm not doing it. Because I had a really bad experience once with an anesthesiologist that did it wrong. I woke up paralyzed. It was awful. Another story for another time. But I was traumatized by that. I only trusted one anesthesiologist. Okay, lo and behold, the anesthesiologist was the woman. And worse, potentially, the person who messed up my anesthesia the first time. When my anesthesia got messed up, okay, actually, it's going to be in another video. Whatever, spoiler alert. You get like a hypnotic and a paralytic. What happened was I got my ECT, they gave me my hypnotic and my paralytic. You have to have the hypnotic first, obviously. You have to be unconscious because your body, when it's paralyzed, you can't move your lungs, you can't move anything. You can't move an eyelid. And so what happened is my hypnotic wore off before my paralytic, and I thought I was suffocating. I thought I was dying. I thought I was suffocating to death, and I couldn't move. I was buried in my own body. But I started to come to consciousness screaming. I was like, I can't breathe! And they put me out again. They put me under again. And so that traumatized me bad. And so this same anesthesiologist was the one that day. No wonder I ran away, right? And so I knew I couldn't do it, even if she, tried her best. And not only was it a breach of contract, I had a contract with my doctor that I would do everything he said so I wouldn't end up in a state hospital. But I was so traumatized by that, I couldn't do anything but, my thought was this. I either have to get ECT and have this horrible trauma potentially, or I have to go to the state hospital. My only other option was to fucking run, right? Run away, escape. And so I did fight. I flighted. Okay. And not doing it was a breach of contract with the doctor. Everything came crashing down. That's the anesthesiologist. I said, I can't do it. You have to, Takara said. You have to, or you're going to state. I was devastated. She taunted me several times, which led me to a decision. I would run into traffic. Oh, I was going to run into traffic. I wasn't even going to run away. Okay. I'd rather die than go back to state. So I waited silently until we made it downstairs. And as we walked to the Shan's rehab van, I fell to last in line. Takara, Jonathan, LaShawn, and me. Then I turned and ran. I ran through Shan's lobby, out the front doors toward Archer, LaShawn and Takara trailing me. Remember, I'm the slowest runner on the fucking planet. It was traumatic. It was terrifying. I wore zebra-striped pants and a bright yellow shirt that read, "Say it, don't spray it." So I couldn't blend in. I decided that dying was better than going to state, thus I ran towards Archer, pulling up my loose PJ pants and holding my boobs in my too small bra. The reasons why I didn't get away. I was clearly suffering from a wardrobe malfunction. See, I don't know who writes this shit because it's one moment it's devastating, the next it's humorous. I don't even know. Okay. As I stopped and started toward Archer, I felt a couple of hands on my shoulders. LaShawn and a security guard had caught me. A disaster. The security guard, being clearly chock full of wisdom, decided to lecture me about inconveniencing the poor techs. What about how they have inconvenienced me? I spit. There were now 2 security guards and LaShawn and Takara. I was being led back to the bus. When we reached it, Takara bellowed, "Get in there," in her absurd maternal voice. Head down, I took a seat. On the way back to Vista, Takara made fun of me. "You should have seen yourself trying to run, haha." I was ready to burst. So that was that incident where I tried to run away. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions from the class? I've had quite the bizarre life. Yeah, it was a typical response to trauma, and they just didn't know how traumatized I was. I know. That's how you know I have alters. One of them must have been concerned about the boobs. Someone else was concerned about the running. I don't know.
You were wearing those zebra pants on your...
I was actually wearing the same outfit, the zebra pants, and my yellow "Say It, Don't Spray It" shirt in my last video. Cinnamon was wearing that same outfit that I had 11 years ago. Or 10 years ago.
Maybe not sure.
Okay. So this is the horrible doctor I had. I can't say his name, but he's literally the devil.
Call Dr. H.
I'll call him Dr. H because he's a butthead, and I will never forgive him for what he did. So there's going to be a lot of his dumb ass in here. Oh no, this is all in crayon. It's going to be hard for me to read. I'm going to actually skip a few, and one day I'm going to type them up and then I'll read them. How's it going? You guys enjoying it? Is it boring?
16.
Oh, Cinnamon's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's our baby girl. Who knows? Whenever I do a live stream, it's a crapshoot. Either nobody comes out or a bunch come out or, anything can happen. That's why I never guarantee I'm going to leave my live streams up, because I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. So here we go. Oh, this is Flair. This is Flair, guys. How you doing, bitches? I've been here, but I was sort of like the side bitch. Now I'm the front bitch.
Would you like hold on to this?
And it's a little hot, but I need my boa. That's right, bitch. Flair gets a boa. Flair wears his boas everywhere he goes. Flair wears his boas everywhere he goes. Okay, let's read some more of the journal. 4/18/2011. I didn't sleep last night. Instead, I paced, too anxious to nod off, when Dr. H and his two barnacles, that's what I used to call his fucking, students that would follow him everywhere, his barnacles. I'm a bitch. Okay. And his two barnacles inevitably came to speak to me. He finally explained why he wasn't talking to me. Oh my God, you guys don't even know. It's so ridiculous. This doctor, he literally stopped talking to me. He said he would only talk to me through his students. He would have no contact with me because he thought I was some sort of Svengali hypnotizing him or something. I don't know. Crazy person. He was a crazy person. Okay, so here we go. Finally explained why he wasn't talking to me. Yes, thank you. Hi. Okay, here we go. My first plan didn't work, and when a plan doesn't work, I move to a new plan, he said, aka not talking to you, even though you're my psychiatrist. Okay, that's what his not talking to me is, a new plan. He also said that if I did well this weekend, I might be able to get off one-to-one sometime next week. They love to keep me on one-to-one. Ugh, it's the worst. They have to come in the bathroom with you. Ugh, I hate it. Sometime next week. It's all about us feeling you're safe, his primary barnacle, Dr. D, reiterated. I felt extremely tense, like I was a balloon about to burst. Apparently that's like a theme. All night, Michael talked and walked with me. That was one of the nurses. He told me ghost stories because I was a bit wigged out, and he let me know that he cared, that I shouldn't concern myself with what other people think, particularly the doctor, that he'd pray for me, an offer I found a bit irritating. He believes I need divine intervention and that I'm misunderstood. Well, I can agree with that. We are misunderstood, bitch. I appreciate his attempted understanding. It's a minor relief. I also told the doctor about how I was concerned that I wasn't tired after not sleeping. He responded, "It's difficult to sleep here. We recognize that. Do you want, sometimes it goes from just story to story. It goes and goes. If you have any questions, just say them and we'll answer them. Okay. Do you want us to prescribe anything to help you with that? Dr. D asked. I don't respond well to sleep meds, I said. Okay. They also noted that my affect was flat. I kept telling them fine to everything. I feel both strangely calm and elated. I don't know what that means. Okay, Friday, 4/8/11. Dr. R, now this was a medical doctor there. He would come see the patients every day to see if they had any medical problems, right? Dr. R, the medical doctor, well, I guess I wrote it there, told me I needed a job as a lumberjack, that I needed some sort of physical labor to relieve the physical anxiety that caused me to cut. At first I laughed. But he made it clear that he was serious. Suddenly, a vision of myself in full beard and flannel materialized. I was wielding an oversized axe, splitting log after log like something out of Fargo. He then gave me a neurological test because I was afraid I'd begun to have a stroke. I'm a bit of a hypochondriac. A fear resulting from a rather vague symptomology. A headache, a bloody nose, insomnia, and deja vu. Naturally, I didn't think he'd take me seriously, but he did. A relief. Now goes to another thing. Susan, I often made notes of other patients because I planned on writing a memoir and I needed to have color for that. I was never going to name their real names. All identifying information is not going to be told, that kind of thing. If you've ever read Girl Interrupted, you understand. Susan was herded out of the room. Susan was herded out of room after room. Upon scurrying out of one, she was guilty of scampering into another like a horny rabbit. According to staff, she was seeking a father to an as-of-yet conceived baby. I watched as she tiptoed in and out of rooms, a childlike quality to her movements. Yeah, it is true that physical labor can help, keep you busy, get rid of some of that energy. But see, I have alters. That's where that all came from. So I needed more treatment for my DID, right? Yeah, exactly. That's right, Posey. Okay. The yelling never ends, but seems to increase from hour to hour. If it's not David, the Hare Krishna, chanting, it's John, the traumatically brain-injured, wheelchair-bound guy, screaming, "Nurse, nurse, nurse," to no one in particular. It's terribly irritating. My new roommate, Josephine, a delusional woman with rheumatoid arthritis, had an accident on the floor, which I stepped in unknowingly while using the bathroom. Ill. This is what happens in psych hospitals, guys. Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta get a drink. I'm right here. I'm not gone. Flair, me, and James are the ones who are usually like the live streamers. We're not in videos a lot because videos kind of bore us, but we do love being live and talking to people.
James has a 30-minute video.
Oh yeah, James has her own video. I don't have mine yet, but I do have a crown, bitch. Who needs a video when you got a crown?
Flair has the live streams. So.
Oh yeah, I get the live streams. Okay, I would keep that on because it is so pretty, but it's going to be too hard to keep on as I read. Some of these stories are kind of funny. Okay, so this is April 1st, 2011. So apparently, April Fool's Day, I'm always in the hospital. I think I switched. I feel different. Okay, so I think I'm Brandy, maybe? I think I'm back to Brandy. Okay. After running from Shands and attempting to run into Archer Road, I was numb. Wait, so this is like... Oh, no, it's the same April Fool's Day, guys. Aw, you're so sweet. Hi, Dissociated Doodlers. How are you? We're reading stories from our psychiatric journals. So I think maybe it's Brandy and Flair together. Maybe we're co-conscious. Like, I have a hard time discerning who I am because I'm overt. So, like, I don't know. You guys have to tell me sometimes. Okay, so you guys remember the story where I ran from Shands and they made fun of me. So this is a continuation of that. After running from Shands and attempting to run into Archer. Okay, maybe I am Flair and Brandy. Like, maybe we're mixed. I don't know. I was numb, welling with self-disgust. A need to self-punish pervaded. I deserved to die, if possible. Instead, I had to settle for hurting myself any way I could. I wandered around the unit, looking for weapons or hidden, overlooked dangers. I ran my fingers along the walls, across the doors, over every available surface. I was determined. After some time, Steve and Claire, nurses, appeared, ghosting next to me like phantom guards. They guided me away from certain dangers, impeded my progression to others. It was frustrating. Eventually, I discovered the perfect hazardous location, the blanket/towel shelf. It was damaged, tooths of cracked wood cutting sharply from its left edge. A temptation too powerful to ignore. I padded slowly toward the shelf. Pressure mounting. The possibility of potential relief overriding all higher thought. You need this, my brain hissed. Now, this was probably an alter, you see, but at the time I didn't. Hi, Unashamed Kane, how are you? Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you so much for listening to our stories, our journal. Okay, so this is when it seems like maybe this was an alter. So, you need this, my brain hissed. The yearning was painfully present. I tried to resist, but all resistance failed. Next I know, I was violently scraping my left forearm along the piked edge, up and down, as fast as I could. Staff dodged toward me, pulling my arm away. I yanked it back and continued pacing, an intense sense of relief washing through me. It was amazing, beautiful, a sensation as powerful as what I imagined heroin would feel like. Fuck, I could use that feeling again. Really, I could. I need it so badly. It must be an addiction. It wasn't an addiction, it was an altar. I thought it was an addiction. Pacing, I moved from hallway to hallway. I was dazed, elated, ready for more. Then Takara appeared, saying, "Brandy, get over here now," in that villainous maternal voice that always made me violently pissed. And it was over. Any appearance of self-control fell away. I began to scream. "If you think you can control me by condescending to me, you are sadly mistaken," I yelled. Next journal entry. Oh, hi, Strange System. How are you? I know. I'm telling stories from my journal from 2011. Flair and Brandy. We're going back and forth. Okay. I want to hurt myself, and I want to do it now. I want to pull a staple out of one of those magazines and tear up my arm, or scrape my arm against the towel cubby again, or dig through my skin with my fingernails, or yank off the metal pieces on my bed, or rip at my wrist, or pull those 2 metal studs from that vomit green chair and open an artery, or slam my arm against the edge of the med window shelf corner, or shatter one of the... this is how fucking elaborate my self-harm thoughts were, guys. God. Or shatter one of the day room light bulbs and swiftly cut my carotid artery, or anything. Fuck, I am so frustrated. I just want to bleed. Is there any way I can get away with it without anyone finding out? I need it now. Someone was bleeding earlier. There were red droplets of blood. That was the trigger. That's why I needed it, because somebody bled earlier. There were red droplets of blood sprinkled near the phone. The theory is that Vaughn ripped off a fingernail. The sight was disgusting and provocative. I need to bleed so bad right now. I don't care about the consequence. I don't care. Blood. I'm not going to be able to resist. So I think that was an altar. Okay, cool. I'm so glad you're here, Strange. Awesome. We have missed you so much. We don't have your number anymore. It doesn't work. Oh, thank you, Dissociated Doodlers. Okay, this one is... So all of this is in the same hospital stay that I was at. So it's all the same hospital stay. So Sunday, April 3rd, 2011, 2 days after I attempted to run into the traffic. I was irritable. It was evening. Steve was perched behind that telltale square of glass in the right-left corner of the nurse's station, depending on which way you're facing. His opinion of me matters for some inexplicable reason, to an absurd and painful degree. He used to be a comedian, presumably Southern. He did, after all, tour with Larry the Cable Guy, before old Larry was Larry. Anyway, what he thinks of me seems to define my mood, because I'm just that insecure. Okay, sweet. Please do, Spencer. I appreciate that. Okay. He was doing nothing in particular, flipping through charts, handing out meds. I know this because I have a tendency to watch him. I was so crazy, guys. I have a tendency to watch him from the corner of my eye, of course. Not that this spying goes unnoticed. I do this because it makes me feel safe to know he's there. It's probably completely irrational, but his presence makes me feel held in a way. A false sense of security which will surely break my heart, as it always does. I was growing more and more tense. I felt pulled taut, stretched tight like a bad balloon. Balloons seem to be a theme. I did not know I spoke about balloons this much. My legs were bouncing up and down as if they were fitted with separate motors. You look like you have to pee, someone noted. But I couldn't stop. Now, this is where the first time I'm certain an altar situation is going on, okay? The other was there, hissing its horrid incantation. Cut yourself, you have to. Imagine how great it will feel. You know this won't go away till you do it. Just get it over with, and I'll leave you alone. You won't have to think about me anymore. And that terrible sensation in the pit of your abdomen will melt away. Do it, do it, do it. Clearly, that was an altar trying to influence me, and I didn't understand that. I just thought it was me, you know? The physical compulsion is not something most people can understand, because remember, I did not know I had DID. It's like being clawed apart from the inside out, or being stretched painfully as you're being clawed apart. People often suggest that I modify my thinking, but what they don't understand is the need has little to do with thoughts. It's like being nauseated, only a billion times worse. Gavin questioned whether or not it might be a hormonal issue since the drive is so physical. No, it wasn't a hormonal issue. It was an altar issue. That's why I could not control my physical behavior.
What if your tails is rolling your eyes?
Oh yeah, one of my tales for switching is when I roll my eyes. If I roll my eyes, that usually means I might have switched. Just so you guys know. Okay, so okay. So they thought it was a hormonal issue since the drive is so physical. I have to admit that the possibility never occurred to me. Anyway, David the Krishna was chanting loudly. He was being inconsiderate as per usual. An occurrence I can typically tolerate. I just swallow my ire and bury it deep within myself. But that night, I had no capacity to internalize because I probably was an altar. There was no room for it. The other occupied all bodily space. Actually, it created new space, which felt like being fitted with an extra too big organ, a gigantic third kidney the size of a liver. There was just no room for empathy, unfortunately. He stalked around the unit screaming, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Attempting to divert my ire, I dug my nails into the palms of my hands, gritting my teeth and shaking my legs. It was a perfect storm. The other, David, and for good measure, a case of PMDD. I was fucked. I sat next to the rollout TV, which was blaring some hideous children's flick like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. 1 second. I gotta wet my whistle, bitch. Delicious. Okay, here we go. I shook my legs more violently. Then I shot up, tramped over to his room, where he was now located, yelling from his bed, and slammed his door with every ounce of energy I had. Naturally, this provoked him. He relocated to the day room louder than ever. Other patients shouted, shut up, close your trap. It didn't work, as if it would have. Then I was struck with an ingenious idea. If he was going to chant his religious mess, I would do the same. Because I'm a damn maniac. I began to sing, I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. Barney was Lord, praise Barney. Not only did I drown him out, I managed to demean his God. Do you see what you're dealing with here? Terrible, terrible. That's not something I would be proud of today. Yeah, it's very scary, Kane. It is. Oh my God, yeah. When you don't know your system and you have these compulsions that are just inexplicable and you're just like, it must be me. Why can't I stop myself? It's so scary. And then people don't believe you. They never believed me. They were like, I think you know what you're doing. Because it seemed like I did. Because when I'm me, yes, I'm aware of what I'm doing. But when I'm others, I'm not, Nobody knew. So anyway, so here we go. I shook my legs violently. Then I shot up. That's what I already said. Okay, I already said that part. Okay, so I managed to demean his God. Not a good thing. That's when Steve appeared, prepared to inform me of my apparent douchebaggery. An observation I'd failed to make. Perhaps this is what the doctors mean by no insight. Hey, Cotton Candy and friends, we love you. We love you too, Kane, by the way. Oh, that's okay. We're just glad you're here now. Okay, on to the story. It must be nice to be wound together so well, Steve said. What? I asked. David's psychotic. He can't help himself. You can, he informed me. It was kind of embarrassing. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kane. I appreciate it. I get like really excited and heated, you know. I was dumbstruck, heartbroken, drowning in self-loathing. It's nice to see how much empathy you can express for him when you can't find 1 ounce. I stopped, tears trickling down my cheeks. I didn't deserve empathy. That was clear. Numb and half dead, I shambled away. I was a robot, a self-hating, self-punishing robot. That probably means I was another alter, like a more numb alter. After impersonating a statue for some time, I think I was catatonic for a minute, you know. I maneuvered a pair of tweezers I'd hidden in my bra the previous day during a trip to retrieve my shower things out of my left cup and tore at my left arm. Stop, Brandy, Nee ordered, lunging at me. In response, I threw the tweezers on the floor. Yeah, this bitch has done everything. God. So that was the end of that story. Now we're going to go on to another one. Steve was this amazing nurse. And like I said, he used to be a comedian. He was so witty and funny. He was just a really cool guy. Right. Yeah. So they thought because I wasn't psychotic that I was able to stop my behavior. But nobody knew I had DID. Although my doctors had been telling me that, you know. But they weren't telling hospitals. They weren't telling other people. And I didn't believe it. So, you know. Okay, so this one's Saturday, 4/9/11. Steve finally spoke to me voluntarily today because he was mad at me after the whole thing where I yelled at the psychotic guy. He initiated conversation with me, asking about the Knights of the Algonquin round table. Proving I knew the reference, he smiled and said, I knew you'd know it. It's a reference from Seinfeld. I was relieved by his response. I felt like I no longer had to worry about his hostility. Not that I should have worried about it in the first place. I'm a bit ridiculous that way. Anyway, I suggested a couple of books. A Confederacy of Dunces and A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. A Confederacy of Dunces is my favorite book. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Politically incorrect because it was written in the 60s, but hilarious. Oh, I love you too, Kane. It's so true, right? Okay, so I suggested the books. He responded by informing me that he hadn't finished a book in years. You'll finish A Confederacy of Dunces, I said. It's hilarious. He wrote it down on his hand and began to walk away. Oh, have you seen this book by Dave Eggers? I asked, handing him A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. He thumbed through it and asked to see it later. Later came. He strolled up, grabbed the book, and strode to the patio. Remember, he's the nurse. He's my favorite nurse. I followed nervously, not wanting to ruin the newfound peace. He sat on the bench reading a passage. I stood in the doorway for a moment, then shyly asked if I could sit with him. Sure, take a seat, he said. He talked about his father's funeral. Evidently, he hated funerals, but he did like his father's wake. He said that there were 300 people there to stare at the urn, which I thought was odd. What Steve remembered most was one of his father's friends looking at the urn and saying, "This is the quietest I've ever seen him." That's kind of funny and sad, but kind of funny. You see, his dad was a newspaper man and a vocal one at that. He lived to the tender age of 89, which I take to be a good sign. Conversation veered toward movies. Steve had a Coen Brothers movie with him, A Serious Man. A movie he loved and his wife inevitably hated. They had opposing tastes. He also had Extract, a film deemed hilarious. I'd seen Extract recently, so I had little desire to see it again. I did, however, want to see A Serious Man. It was preferable to what was on. Home Alone 2. Because, whenever you're in hospitals, they play the dumbest children's movies because you're not allowed to watch anything controversial or stressful.
Wasn't Trump in that movie?
And Trump was in that movie. Oh. So, yeah, I did not want to watch that. Okay, so who cares? I was just glad he wasn't disgusted with me anymore. He told me about his habit of memorizing film speeches, reciting the virus speech from The Matrix. He leaned back and said, I can't believe I remember that. It was pretty impressive. I got the sense that he missed performing because, he was a stand-up comedian. The conversation ended with him saying about A Heartbreaking Work, the book that I offered him. If I need to take a dump, I'll come get it. Because the kind of guy he was. Oh, God. Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it, Kane? It is. Yes. Oh, my God, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff they made us watch at the hospital. Oh, it's the worst. I think we watched Waterboy 25 times. Okay, so, he told me about his hat. Okay, so memory. Okay, I got that. Okay. Just what I wanted to hear, I smiled. He giggled, then walked away. It felt good to make such a witty person giggle. Note, I was told that he said that we had our best conversation yet in report. I was also told I was accused of ruminating. Not good. Here it is, the cat's cradle. My emotions tangled and knotted in a web I will never escape. Like a stuck fly, I will flit and jerk to no avail. A stagnant tizzy, Hannah would call it. And she's right. It is a stagnant tizzy. I think that's such a funny phrase, a stagnant tizzy. Oh my God. You're right, Kane. Like, who knows? Like, they didn't know, but I very seriously doubt they would have done better. It's true. It's especially in Florida. It's a terrible mental health care system there. So a stagnant tizzy. I'm getting nowhere. I still want to harm myself, more so now than yesterday. I still want to try to die, which admittedly is not the same as dying. What's worse is it's not getting old. It never does. I wish I could say the same for being alive. I have no idea why the caged bird sings, but I do know exactly why David Foster Wallace hanged himself. It was a matter of frustration, of hysterical frustration, laughing one's way to the old firing squad. The laughter, not a laugh at all, but an untranslatable scream. Something horrible and indecipherable by the common man. Like when you read hieroglyphics and grasp little more than the fact that it's all two-dimensional. So that's one entry. Yeah, hospitals suck. I mean, luckily where I live now, the hospitals are a lot better. But even this last time that I was admitted a few months back, the doctor, even though I've been diagnosed with DID 3 times by 3 separate doctors, okay, and it's obvious, they diagnosed me with psychotic depression. They thought I had DID because I was so depressed I was psychotic. And I was just so fucking irritated by that.
Tell me about our agreement about your getting the treatment.
I don't remember.
Oh, they say this, I say this, but since the treatments are the same, I allow it.
Oh, okay, so what happened was, they say I don't have DID because, doctors don't want to write that in their charts. They don't want to be the DID doctor. Not yet, anyway. And so Eric knows I have DID. And so the doctor says she has psychotic depression. And then Eric's like, no, she has DID. And so then the doctor's like, well, it doesn't matter. The treatment's the same. And that's the only reason we accepted it. There was a nurse there that actually worked at one of the most famous hospitals for DID. What is it called again? Yeah, it's called Shepherd Pratt. It's in Maryland. It's like one of the best psychiatric hospitals for DID. It has like a waiting list a year long. It's crazy. I want to sign up for it because I do want to integrate, I don't want to be split apart forever. Anyway, back to the show. Back to the stars. I guess I switched. Okay. 4/10/11, a Sunday. I've got to get out of here. I'm hearing too much. Teresa, the most hyperverbal woman I've ever met, 7:45 a.m. We're not going to starve you today. We only starve you on Mondays. Annie responding to a patient asking about breakfast, 7:47 a.m. Saturday night, I had long talks with both Michael, the tech who lost, oh, this is so sad, the tech who lost his 2-year-old daughter, and Gavin, the 60-year-old loner with 2 cats. Gavin's 2 telltale phrases. 1, are you serious? 2, oh, really? He's adorable. He asked me all about my life, read parts of my journal, which he deemed sad, and told me about a visit to Guernot's house. Michael mostly dealt with my need to hurt myself, keeping me from danger and trying to lift my spirits. He's religious and asked me if I'd made a deal with the devil. Though I'm an agnostic/atheist, it sure feels like I did. I feel like I'm not allowed to hurt myself. Like the more I try to resist the compulsion, the stronger the compulsion grows. Probably because I was resisting an altar, you know? Oh my God. Yeah, Posey, it's ridiculous. They will go to a very extreme lengths not to diagnose you with DID. But, you know, that's just where we're at in the process of this disorder being accepted widely by society. It's unfortunate, but that's why I have a channel. We need to show people this disorder and that it's real and that we need the proper research and treatment for it.
Someday we're going to Congress.
And someday, if I'm lucky and I have the wherewithal, I plan to go to Congress and demand certain things for people with DID. If I'm capable. Like, I can't guarantee it because, you know, DID. But that's one of my goals. Because I honestly believe, this is what I believe for DID. I believe that the government should pay for all of our treatment, the best treatment for DID, because they failed us as children. Society failed children. And that's why we are this way. When I lived in Florida, you know, kids that were in foster care, right? This is only in Florida. It might be in other states, but Florida, I know specifically. If you're a foster kid in Florida, you get your college paid for, the whole thing. And I totally support that. Because foster care sucks and it's horrible. And it's like reparations. I think people with DID deserve reparations for being failed for falling through every crack in society. Because we had to in order to get this disorder, right? So one day I'm going to go to Congress and say, you need to pay for our treatment. And I don't think it'll work, but I'll try it anyway, you know? Yeah. Let me see. Posey, it's okay. You've got courage. Everybody can contribute in their own way, you know? Some people don't like to perform on the internet, you know? It's a hard thing. And one day maybe you will. But anything you do contributes. You're doing something that contributes, I promise you. Okay. Back to the story. Let's see. When I hear less than half decipherable whispers, it's always about me, though I know it's not. When I see lips moving through the nurse's station window, I'm inevitably the subject, a fact that is also a lie. It's the sort of obnoxious narcissism that kills. I'm hideously self-involved, although it's always in a self-loathing way. Still, self-obsession is self-obsession, whether it's self-love or self-hate. I cannibalize myself in a steady barrage of bullet-quick self-attacks. Next one. Time. Time is not what I expect it to be or hope it to be. Instead, it's sluggish, like a half-stunned armadillo, and it moves intermittently. Sometimes it's 9:32 a.m. for hours, and it kills me. When you're in hospitals, time moves so freaking slowly. You're so bored. That's awesome, Kane. I totally support that. My goal is to go back to school for psychology, studying trauma. I want to do the same thing. I want to help people like us. Absolutely. Good on you. All I want, okay, so 9:32 a.m. for hours, it kills me. All I want is to do is fly, careen over my head like a frisbee, speed blinkingly. Blink, it's 8:46. Blink, it's 12:52. But no, it's constipated, ticking through a pond of Imodium. Yes, I know this makes little sense. I'm bored. Okay, bored. Time here is an exaggeration. It's a warped reflection of time in the world. Yeah, because being in the hospital is like the slowest time on earth, guys. If you've ever been in there, yes. Hi, Riv. How are you? Yay. Unashamed Kane? Yes. If I ever go to Congress, I want to bring as many people who suffer from this disorder as possible so we can all speak to them. Exactly. Existence is resistance. It is. And we have to speak out for ourselves because nobody else is going to. Nobody, I promise you that. We have to do it ourselves. And we can. We are capable. We might have our bad moments. We might friggin', have weeks where we can't function. But when we have our moments where we can, we need to take it to Congress. Okay. Here's the next journal entry. I don't know. Do you guys like this? Or are you is it boring? Do you like being read to? Because I don't know. What do you guys think? Yes, thank you, Riv. I'm so happy everybody's here. I really appreciate it. So are you guys enjoying this? Is this something I should continue doing? Just want to make sure because, I don't want to bore everybody. I just think I have some weird stories, I have a whole separate journal about the state hospital. This one's just the acute care facility that I had to wait in before going to the state hospital. So let me know if this is cool. Okay, so 9:12 a.m. David de Krishna is demanding to be put in restraints. Oh my God, it totally does, Cotton Candy. Oh, it drags forever. Thank you, Posey. Okay, I'll keep reading. Okay, so it's 9:12 a.m. David de Krishna is demanding to be put in restraints or I'm going to bust down the fucking door. Patients are sent to their rooms. Staff shuffles about militantly. Tony opens the quiet room door and David goes in. Problem solved for now. Staff uses the occasion to keep patients locked in their rooms for an extra 15 minutes because if you've ever been in a hospital, they'll do anything to get some time off from us. Totally unnecessary. 9:45 a.m. A rendition of Gospel Gangsters was performed by AJ and Jonathan. It morphed into Gangsta's Paradise and a discussion of Coolio. Next, little cuts no one can see. Large enough to draw blood, small enough to cover. Mutilation, that's invisible. That's what I have to do, and now. Something I can do in front of anyone without anyone noticing. When I was young, and I was in psych hospitals, when I was about 16, and I was in an adolescent unit, I learned how to cut myself so imperceptibly that I could do it literally in front of a 1-to-1 as long as I had a blanket. I was a horrible, horrible patient. I was very angry about being in hospitals as a kid, right? I knew one thing. I knew that if you harmed yourself, staff members had to do paperwork. And I knew that they hated paperwork more than anything on earth. So what did I do? I'd harm myself, walk up to the nurse's station desk and say, look what I did. Now you got to fill out paperwork. That's the kind of asshole I was. But I was so angry. I didn't want to be there, So I found the best way to punish them I could. Hi, Kimberly. Aw, yeah. It's okay. Hey, we've all got these experiences, and I'm so glad you're here. Actually, I love your name, Kimberly Creator. I love that. Let's see. Oh, here, back to David de Krishna. David de Krishna randomly threw a table, broke it, and stomped to his room. The top broke off the table, and staff had to remove it. Later, David came out of his room to apologize. Shaking Steve's hand, he said, I'm sorry for breaking the chair. He didn't even remember it was a table. I'm glad. Thank you, Kane. Right, Kimberly? I know a lot of people have these experiences. If you've been in psych hospitals, you're gonna see this stuff, you know? Okay, so there are chips of wood on the floor. Next one. All you witches stay out of my room because I done shut down your power in the name of Jesus. Amen. This is terrible, but I was, this is 10 years ago. So this is somebody I called Crazy Voodoo Lady said this to Davina and Francine at 11:28 p.m. for no apparent reason. I used to make up nicknames for the people I didn't know the names to. Davina said, Amen. And Voodoo Lady said, what, Satan? So funny. And shut her door. Then she put a note on her door that read, keep out, witchcraft for Jesus will writ, ... Then the jam cut off the writing. So she cut off the writing to her message on her door. Okay, here we go. 4/11/11. Christian Voodoo Lady opened her door, took the witchcraft note, crumbled it up, and threw it on the floor, exclaiming, jackasses. I guess she didn't remember putting it up there herself. Then, a few minutes later, she sang/screamed, a change is coming, boy. I'm going home today, so get my clothes. Evidently, whomever gets her clothes from the laundry will be blessed by Jesus. Risperdal is causing me dizziness. I feel nauseated. There's a sign that reads, your rights while receiving mental health services at the bottom of it. At the bottom, it reads HRS, which is funny because HRS doesn't exist anymore. David is being confrontational this morning, accusing Vaughn of saying the F word to him, though Vaughn didn't. David paces around the unit, his flip-flops clicking. It's driving me crazy. Dr. H wears square-tipped cowboy boots, whereas Dr. S wears pointed ones. I always noticed that these two doctors wear cowboy boots. Why are you wearing cowboy? Anyway. Okay, this entry is called Reduction of Values. Mine are so reduced as to be unrecognizable. Everything is fluid, justifiable, even at times murder. I can't seem to locate anything solid, which can't be completely good. Obviously, one can go too far in either direction. Staunch Republicans, for instance, or religious people too certain for their own good. But the uncertainty I suffer from borders on stupid. I know that. Maybe it's good to hold a collective value, even if there are clear exceptions. Being on one-to-one with Diana is awful, so I was still on one-to-one. And if anybody's ever been to hospital, one-to-one sucks. It's the worst. Oh, good night, Cotton Candy. We love you. Thank you for coming. Oh, Kimberly, of course. Everybody is accepted here. This is a safe space for systems and for anybody with mental health issues. That's what we hope to make it, Oh, okay. Being on one-to-one with Diana is awful. Her husband recently died, and I have nothing to say. It's nerve-wracking. I felt really bad. I felt like I had to say something about her situation, but it's wasn't appropriate, Next one. Talking to Dr. H, I realize he might be toying with me, stringing me along like Dr. F. Dr. F is the previous doctor from a different hospital who sent me to the state hospital the first time. And he used to do things like, well, if you behave this way, you won't have to go. And then he would say that and say that and say that. And he sent me anyway after 2 or 3 months of being in the acute care hospital. They were just trying to get me to behave. Lying to me. Anyway, talking to Dr. H, I realize he might be toying with me, stringing me along like Dr. F to get me to behave. He said that he would talk to the team, and if all was well, he'd drop me down to eye contact. No more one-to-one. He has a new, equally hideous resident who thought it appropriate to condescend to me as if I was a child. Well, why do you think you're on one-to-one? She asked. I don't know, I responded sarcastically. Maybe that's the problem, she suggested. No, I know why I'm on one-to-one. I just don't like being talked to like I'm an idiot, I snarled. Oh, you're welcome, Cotton Candy. We do love you guys. We're so appreciative of you all. Dumb bitch. I no longer have any patience for this shit. I attempted to make a deal with Dr. H, asking him to let me out one more time, saying if I wind up back in here, I will gladly go to, I said, I won't gladly go to state, but I'll understandably go to state, right? And I won't bitch as much. But I do think you'll bitch, he responded. That's your opinion, I said. But we've made deals before, he countered. One deal. Or were there more? No, just one, he said contemplatively. There was an underlying hostility, and my overt hostility, which I couldn't seem to squelch. I think I was literally gritting my teeth. The whole interaction was awful.
Louis Tellez is here.
Oh, hey, Louis, how are you? We love you. Right? Have a little patience for patience. Jesus. Ooh, a crumpet. Fancy. Somebody give me some crumpets. Isn't that the queen gets the crumpets? Maybe it's the queen's corgis eat crumpets. Nice. Good job, Posey. I love crumpets. That is beautiful, Louis Tellez. We love him. Okay. Mental health seems to be a majorly estrogen-fueled pursuit. Most psychiatric residents are female, so are most nurses, nursing students, and techs. Though, interestingly enough, the actual doctors are male. Right? Feminism, people. We need to rise up and be the doctors. Why do female doctors assume that some sort of surrogate maternal tone will appeal to me? It's the last thing I want. Maternal tones are actually a trigger for me because my mother was severely mentally ill since I was 3 years old, and she would like whisper maternal things in my ear and then like try to kill me. So if somebody speaks to me maternally, I freak out. And it's just a trigger. I got to start to control that better. By that time, I didn't know I had DID. I didn't even know I had triggers. Right? Okay. It's the last thing I want. It's almost tantamount to baby talk. It makes me want to rip out their vocal cords and knit a scarf with them. Knitting is feminine, right? Ugh. See, I'm just a bad... I don't even know. Right? We're all hysterical and our wombs are roaming around. Here's the next part. I was informed by Nurse Michael that the female resident wrote a note to take me off finger foods. This when there was supposed to be a discussion about taking me off 1-to-1. Like, fuck finger foods, take me off 1-to-1. Suicidality as a form of meditation. Some people chant. Eric brought a clock radio and donated it to the unit, like I asked him to. Naturally, the one channel I needed to work didn't. I was so irritated, I stamped into the ward and kicked off my slippers. That's when Steve asked me what was wrong in his signature way. I told him that I couldn't find my station, which I knew was ridiculous. Then Brad was another nurse, asked me which station. I told him the rap station. Steve, disgusted, suggested I listen to jazz. Brad, it turns out, likes rap, gangster rap in particular. He says that rap is tantamount to punk. It has that same alternative vibe.
Should I play some rap?
Yeah. Well, not with words. It's hard for me to focus. Brad talked to me for hours, something I really needed because I was hell-bent on hurting myself, especially after Francine banged her head again. I think she's competing with me. And let me tell you, it's working. Because if you don't know this, people who self-harm have not everybody, but in my case at least, competitive need to be worse when you're sick. I had a very bad habit of needing to be the sickest self-harmer, which I have gotten past now. Just, it's not a good thing. I would never suggest that to anybody. It's just something about the psychology of it. It's competitive. I don't know. Francine's mutilation really provoked me. I wanted nothing more to be on par with her. So frustrating. Before Eric left at 8:24 p.m., he asked me to use 100% of my willpower to behave. Don't try, just do, he suggested. I can only try my best, I countered, which is true. He didn't know I had DID, so, When I was losing my shit over the radio station issue, Mark was being hauled to the hospital by paramedics for unexplained reasons, so my breakdown over the radio appeared doubly absurd. But when you have no reserves left, anything can break you. That's true. Side note, Mark jumped off his bed and split his head open. The voices told him to. Now he sleeps on a mattress on the floor. Oh, and he got staples. Next one. Christian voodoo lady decided to sing I'm a Soldier in the Army of the Lord, dancing and flailing her arms, 12:50 a.m. Steve told her to go do that in her room because sick people are sleeping. 2 a.m. Christine, the nurse, attained a PRM. Oh, this is kind of funny. Okay. Christine, the nurse, attained a PRN of Ativan for me. Dr. H is going to be pissed. As Christine unwrapped the 1 milligram Ativan, Brad, the nurse, tried to stop her, suggesting that Ativan was a problem for me. She handed it to me anyway. I gobbled it up quickly and greedily declared, too late. I stole Ativan. Too late. Oh my God. To any objectors, ha! Still, Brad went on to inform me that he thought I had a problem with substances. Why do you think that, I asked. Because you abuse alcohol excessively as well as other substances, he said. That's a little secret, that's true. I have an issue with substances, though I'm off most substances that I used to do. I usually do weed now, and I do still drink some, but I don't drink nearly as much. Yes, we should have peanut butter and toast. Oh, bye, Kane. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it so much. We love that you were here. You too. You stay safe, and you have a good night. Yeah, peanut butter toast is good. It is good. Here we go back to David the Krishna. 4:12:11. David the Krishna. Jesus is not an escape clause. He's a savior. This in response to John singing, yes, Jesus loves me because the Bible tells me so. Now here we go. It finally happened. I had a complete nervous breakdown. In front of Dr. H and his 2 residents, he was pushing and pushing me. The final straw was him implying I was a bullshitter. They always thought I was a bullshitter because I had DID and I didn't know it. So at times I would appear very insightful, very in control of myself, knew exactly what was going on. And then at other times I appeared totally different. And so they thought I was doing it on purpose. They're like, well, she appears so rational here. Why does she behave that way? It must be attention. She's doing it on purpose because nobody thought or knew I had DID except for my doctor, who wasn't part of that hospital. Okay, so he was pushing and pushing me. The final straw was him implying I was a bullshitter. I find it very interesting that you appear to have control over your cutting now. Why is that, he said. Well, I'm a malingerer, I wanted to say. Because I was pissed. Instead, I began sobbing and simultaneously explaining that it took every ounce of my energy not to hurt myself. That the compulsion is constant and at times I have to sit on my hands to manage it. I would do anything to stay out of state, even if it kills me, I cried. Naturally, he countered with, well, if it's so difficult to control yourself, how are you going to do it if you're released? I'm not under such strain in the world, I said. I'm not under constant scrutiny and state isn't hanging over my head. At that point, everything blurred. So apparently I dissociated when I didn't know I had a dissociative disorder. So everything blurred. I started babbling about how it's hard to work with someone who has such distaste for me. He claimed he treated me like every other patient. I mentioned Francine. All he could say was that she wasn't his patient. I mentioned that he talks to all his other patients without his entourage. Then I switched topics. Again, I mentioned ECT, apologizing for running away, saying, sorry, I don't know why I did that. Because I didn't. Because it was probably an alter. This because he earlier told me that I had ruined an important avenue of treatment. A comment that was on the heels of this gem. You're very manipulative. You navigate through life by manipulation. Because that's what they think when you have DID. They think you're being manipulative. Yeah, they're total egomaniacs. I treat doctors the way I treat any other person. I don't treat them like some god that they think they are.
Someone accused you of being two-faced recently.
Oh yeah, don't talk about that. Wow, Kimberly. Yeah. It's a lot. I bet it's a lot of people's experience, you know? It's hard when you don't know you have DID and nobody believes in DID. You end up in hospitals all the freaking time. It's, you know, even though looking at me now, you wouldn't think that because this isn't the alter that ends up in hospitals. You see, you know, it's that simple. They didn't want to recognize it. There is an active campaign to keep people from believing in DID. I believe that. That's my personal view. For some reason, it's important for psychiatry to not believe us. Okay, so he told me I was living my life by manipulation, which I wasn't. There really is no winning. The entire exchange was devastating. The only glimmer of hope was his primary resident telling me that what I'd said was the most honest I'd been with them. Then she ended the meeting by promising to give me an assignment tomorrow. I really can't write about this anymore. 4/13/11. I know I should be thrilled, but for no good reason I can't overcome my irritation with a previous incident. Dr. M took me off one-to-one, saying that they didn't hear anything negative last night. I responded that I didn't do anything negative. However, she said, you look like you have your walls up again, like you're irritated. Yeah, some of my alters have walls. Some are more open, right? Yeah, there are a lot of shitty quacks, Lewis. I'll tell you right now. And if they're not quacks, then they're just like not open-minded. And to me, that just proves that they're uneducated and they're not good doctors. That's what I say. I responded I didn't do anything negative. However, she said, you look like you have your walls up again, like you're irritated. Oh, I responded, I'm irritated from a previous incident. Sorry. I was cold, rigid, arms crossed, legs bouncing. Okay, have a good day, she said, and walked away. Thanks, I said. The meeting was very short, maybe 5 minutes. Perfunctory questions only. How are you doing today? How do you feel, etc.? To which I responded, fine. They also mentioned Subutex, asked how I felt about that. Okay. They asked if Dr. R mentioned it yesterday. I said that I didn't know because I didn't remember the ID. Mike, the nurse, jumped in saying it was the day before yesterday. I was there. So I guess I'll be experimenting with Subutex.
New number. Misdiagnosed. A new person.
Hi, Misdiagnosed Particles. How are you? Oh, I'm so glad. I mean, everything on my channel is my own personal experience. So, you know, everybody can be a little different in how they experience DID, but I'm glad it helps people learn something. But just know it is my personal experience, and I try my best to inform people of my experience, you know? But thank you. That makes me so happy. Okay, next journal. Yesterday, after my meltdown with the doctors, I had occupational therapy in which I contemplated cutting myself with one of the wooden pieces. We were piecing together fish magnets, painting them blue, orange, and yellow, and gluing them together. I think Ralph, he was the occupational therapist, suspected my intention, so he asked where the piece was in his characteristically gentle, joking way. Evidently, I handed it to him, asking him to keep it for me. My face was tear-streaked and I was zoning out, numb and zoning out. On the way to Ralph's group, Mike, the nurse, informed me that the doctors verbalized that this is my last chance, that they are giving me one more opportunity to prove myself. Up to this point, all has been innuendo, nothing solidified. I had assumed this was my last chance, but I didn't know. Now I do, so I must act accordingly. No fuck-ups under any circumstances. No fuck-ups. Now, how are you going to guarantee no fuck-ups when you have DID and you don't know it, right? Next one, 12:38 p.m. Rich showed me a woodpecker pecking out the window of room 1417. Apparently, he's a regular that always goes to that window. When I tapped the glass, he pecked back. It was awesome. You got to take those little pleasures where you can get them in hospitals. Oh, I'm glad you do have loving family, Lewis. That's awesome. That's important. Very important. Okay. David sits in his wheelchair, both demanding and begging for a bath. I need a bath. I need a fucking bath, he yells. I feel both irritation and pity. His condition is tragic. It makes me want to cry. The problem is that his need is palpable. It's vast and heartbreaking to the point of self-denial. I don't ever want to need anything again. It's too painful. I want all desire to slip away, and that's what cutting provides. I much prefer not to inconvenience others with my needs. It never turns out well. What's desired is usually denied, leaving a core pain that's excruciating. I just can't handle it. 2:50 p.m. Mike the nurse dispensed my first dose of Subutex. I don't feel it at all. Around 5 or 5:30. Yeah, that is great. Steve came on the patio to talk to me. I was pleasantly shocked. It always makes me happy to talk to him. Day 3, no shower. I'm pretty ripe. Okay, next one. Sat around with John, Nicole, and Steve talking highlights. Steve told me when he met me he was neutral and that he is like that with everyone he meets. He said that he studied me for a while. Also, he said he used to examine the unit for every possible minuscule thing I could hurt myself with, which makes me feel safe. It's sick like that. Eventually, I asked him what he learned about me, and he said the following. I learned that everyone wants to like you, except you. Then he asked me if that was true. I said yes. He asked me not to do a disservice to all those people that care by doing something horrible to myself. I said, but don't you see? I see it as a service. Oh, a nurse. A nurse was studying me that I liked a lot. He told me that when he first met me, he was studying me and then he found out that, he made sure everything on the unit had nothing that could hurt me. And because I was very, very MacGyver-like with my ability to harm myself in hospitals. I still am. It's a bad habit. I don't suggest it to anybody. Okay, so I said, I'm so grateful to have met him. I feel very lucky. Tonight was a good night. I think the reason I like him so much is because he's one of the most honest, genuine people I've ever met. Well, he had to do it because he was the head nurse. He had to make sure I was safe. And he said he studied everybody. Okay. 4:14:11. Yeah, I don't trust dudes with white coats either, man. You got a white coat on? I'm going to scrutinize you to hell and back. Okay. This place is currently the picture of lunacy. Jessica is doing leaps. David the Krishna is flying a piece of paper like a butterfly, and Anne is giggling to herself in the corner. Julia, the wildly ill girl, just told me several disturbing hamster stories with great enthusiasm. Number 1, She said that she used to put her hamster in a Barbie car and that it once got its fur raveled in the axis of the car and got its skin torn off. Sorry, guys. 2. She also said that she would play bouncy ball with her hamsters and expect them to bounce back up. Oh, poor hamster. It is. Oh my God. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest definitely exists today. I've been in the state hospital. It is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This isn't even state. This is an acute care facility in the community, which is 1,000 times better than state. Okay, 3. Finally, she said that she'd lost a hamster for a month and her dad accidentally washed it. She claimed that it was flattened against the inside of the washer because of the spin cycle. I guess it runs in my family because my dad used to torture animals when he was little, she explained. You learn a lot of weird things when you're in hospitals from people, just so you know. I responded by saying, well, you didn't know any better, right? Of course not. How dare I torture myself all these years for that, she said. Then she asked me my name 3 times and left. The main issue I addressed with Dr. H, whom I despised, is how what's disturbing to me does not align with what's disturbing to the majority. Things that I don't find that disturbing, other people do. Also, Dr. H informed me that I wouldn't be allowed to go back to ECT this hospitalization, but that Dr. S was the doctor that actually administered the ECT, but that Dr. S has no problem with me doing it on an outpatient basis. We're looking for a sustained period, Dr. H said. A sustained period of what, I asked. Participation and not hurting yourself, he said. How many days of that do you need? Well, you did 9 days on 1-to-1, he said, so I have to do 9 days. I asked, not necessarily. If I do anything, I go straight to state, right? I asked, yes. So if I'm discharged and get readmitted in a matter of months, I go to state, right? Yes, Holbert said. Okay. The last thing he said before he left was, let's keep going. I am fucked. There's no way I'm going to make it. I'll just have to hurt myself secretly. There's no other choice, or I'll have to kill myself, which seems pretty impossible in here. Can't have any attempts. Oh, I forgot. Dr. M said they were being a bit experimental with me since traditional approaches hadn't worked. I wonder why traditional approaches didn't work. Could it be because people with DID need DID-specific treatment? It takes specialized treatment. Normal therapy doesn't work for us. That's why. 9:25 a.m. Just had a panic attack, which made me look like a fucking asshole. I got nauseous, then shaky, then scared. I backed into a corner and slid down the wall. Both Annie and Diana were trying to coax me back to reality. This was an altar, obviously. Annie said that the dose wasn't strong enough to do anything. They took my blood pressure 110/70. Then Annie helped me to my bed. I looked like such a dick. Why can't I just be fucking fine for once? It's always something, and it's always something stupid. Nothing can ever be easy or rational. It always has to be a fiasco. I can't think of the word, and I refuse to put another word. Refuse. Fuck you, brain. Fuck you, brain. Hi, Thistles and Buttons. How are you? Oh my God, yes. It's the worst threat in the world. They knew I had been to the state hospital before and that it was a fucking nightmare for me. They were using it as a type of punishment because they thought I was faking or like seeking attention because nobody knew I had DID. And so they're like, well, if we punish her, she'll behave. But I didn't have that option. I couldn't always behave because I wasn't always me, you know? It's so frustrating. And this is the consequence of people not believing in this disorder. Going to state just because they are ignorant. It's frustrating, you know? I was trying so motherfucking hard. I am an asshole, asshole, asshole. Still a bit shaky and supremely agitated. After the absurdity, I sat on the bed and breathed for a while. Then I informed Annie that it was nothing but a panic attack, completely physical, and I was fine. Everything was beginning to go well with Dr. H, and I fucked it up. I deserve to go to state. I should rip my fucking skin off. I'm a piece of shit. Fuck. Oh, it so is. It so is, Lewis. I have so much medical trauma from psychiatric hospitals. It's insane. So much. Because I've been in so many for so long. Okay, 2:11 p.m. Fran banged her head while she and I were sitting out on the patio. Now she's not allowed outside. I told Diana, of course, by tapping the window and pointing. Diana, frustrated, sighed and hurried outside, calling Fran's name. This all happened after Fran and I spent at least a half hour discussing self-harm techniques. Awful. 4 p.m. It really is. I agree, Lewis. It is. It is criminal. It's a terrible thing to do to people, especially vulnerable people, very vulnerable people. 4 p.m. That douchebag Robert walked up to me with my box of Cadbury eggs in his hand and rudely asked me to give him one. It was more of a demand than a question. This happened when I was in the middle of calling Eric. That guy Robert is a fuckface. I don't even remember him at this point. So Ralph is my occupational therapist, and he was a Republican, right? So listen to this. I gave Ralph my Republicans are complete morons t-shirt during group. I told him I was retiring it in his honor. He said that he wouldn't hang it anywhere, but that he'd take pride in the fact that he convinced me to change my shirt. We are making collages in group, cutting and posting pictures that had to do with work, leisure, and something else. Then the next one. I've really had enough of crazy people. I'm also fed up with putting on a smile for everyone all the time. Staff asks, "What's wrong, Brandy?" As if I'm not in a mental hospital. It's crazy. Yes, we do deserve real help. We deserve real help. We deserve protection. We deserve research. We deserve proper treatment. And honestly, we deserve it all to be paid for because we were children when this was caused and society owes us. And I know that sounds like maybe bitchy and greedy, but society failed us. It failed us horribly. You don't get DID from one frickin' trauma. You get it from repeated, life-threatening trauma. That could have been stopped at some point by schools, by doctors, by somebody. There should be a safety net for that. Right, misdiagnosed? Yeah. Oh, what's up? Why are you upset? Could it be because I'm in a mental hospital and you won't freaking let me out? You know? Okay, what's the next one? 5:15 p.m. Robert sat next to me and informed me that we all have a voice box in our brains and that his was unlocked 5 years ago. I've been trying to close it for 2 years, he said. Apparently it opened while he was in jail. He also pointed out where it was located by gently grabbing the back of my head and tapping at the area. Evidently, it was close to the cerebellum. It was all very unnerving. He's here because he tried to slit his left wrist. It's not very deep, but it's the thought that counts, he said. Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, Kimberly, I was in the hospital in December, so I'm right there with you. Luckily, the hospital I was in is probably better than every hospital I've ever been in as an adult because it's a different state that I live in now. But yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. That's why I haven't made my video about it. Yeah, hospitals can be very, very triggering. Yeah, it is. It is. It is a mood. Okay, let's see. He's here. Okay, slit his wrists, and it's the thought that counts, he said. What did you do with it? I'm a pro at asking inappropriate questions. A razor, he retorted. His eyes were a bit wild and disturbing, his voice a little too loud. The slightness of his behavioral offness made it all the more upsetting when paired with what he was saying. 5:30. We play a song naming game in which we name both the song and the band, winning an artificial $100 bill for each. All we do is yell out the answer. 5:35 p.m. Mark throws a tantrum again, screaming, "Get me out of here," over and over again. Now he's over at the door that leads to North asking Linda, "Please, ma'am, can you help me get out of here? I need to get the fuck out of here." The day room is cleared out. Still, it reminds me of the eye of a hurricane. I am so sick of this shit. You get tired of being in hospitals. And I was in there for a long time. Nowhere else do you realize this fact, Mark. What are you doing here? We got a cat. We got a cat.
I can't see him.
Oh, they can see him a little. What are you doing, silly boy? This Charlie Vonnegut. Okay, 4:15:11, tax day. 4:06 a.m. Though I'm exhausted, I'm determined to stay awake. I slept from 11:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. I'm not about to let myself rest. This will be my form of self-discipline, combined with self-torture. I will master my body somehow. See, I felt the need to master my body because I had DID and I was out of control. So that's what that was about, this need to master myself. But I didn't know at the time. I will master my body somehow. If I can't cut it to tame it, I will deprive it of the option of sleep. After all, this body, this self actually, is an unruly machine. It refuses to stay awake when I want it to. It refuses to retrieve words when I want it to. It threatens to vomit and shake and cry and break down altogether. Well, I'm not having it. If it wants to feel nauseated, let it feel nauseated. It has nothing to do with me. You see, that's a very DID thing to say, that my body has nothing to do with me. What a relief. There's freedom and mastery. I'm no longer afraid of throwing up or shaking wildly. I will defy desire and need. My neck may hurt and my stomach may feel queasy. My hands may shake and my throat may feel constricted as if on the brink of crying. Still, I won't give in. I will win. And if I don't, I guess I'll just die, which isn't such an undesirable result. This is mental illness. If I feel like I can't breathe or like I'm on the verge of an epic panic attack, I'll ignore it. Like I could, this was how upset I was by my shifts that I couldn't control. I'll leave it to the body to deal with. Like I said previously, it has nothing to do with me. Note, the teeth are chattering, an attempt to reveal my inadequacy. I'm aware that this sort of thinking appears a bit crazy, but I'm not going to fall victim to my own bodily desires. They are so crude, nor am I going to allow my body to send up signals to other people. Fuck physical need. I know I will be punished for this. David, wheelchair, even needs in his sleep. He cries out for help over and over again between snores. It would be highly upsetting if I was willing to acknowledge such things. It would likely make the body weep. I will win. This is me fighting my DID and not knowing it, obviously. P.S. I suspect this is all fake. The self is duplicitous, manipulative. Dr. H was right. I'm even unconsciously manipulative, though I'm thinking it, so it must not be unconscious. It's how confusing it can be when you don't know what's happening to you. David equals sleep wailing. His condition unsettles me completely, but I won't feel pain. I won't allow it. That is that. Right? Now this is a separate journal entry. Someone is almost always either farting, belching, or blowing his nose in a nasty orchestra of bodily noise. Gross. Note, the first day I took Subutex, the 13th, I took it incorrectly. Evidently, if you swallow Subutex like a regular pill, it's useless. It just doesn't absorb. You have to place it under your tongue and allow it to dissolve. Yesterday was the first day I took it properly. Because nobody told me how to take it. 11:45 a.m. Dr. G, who was my favorite psychiatrist, he was actually my psychiatrist at the time who knew I had DID, or he suspected it, and we were talking about it. So he came to visit me at the mental hospital. So Dr. G finally visited me. He pulled me from Charles's torturous recreational therapy group and led me to the OT room, aka the room where we have Ralph's group. So what the fuck did you do last week, he asked. Because I ran away. That's why. I didn't do anything last week, I responded. He gave me a disbelieving side glance. Seriously, I've been good for about 2 weeks. Another disbelieving look. That's not what I heard, he said. What did you hear? I asked. What do you think I heard? That I made a break for it? Yep. What happened? Teary-eyed, I recounted the story again. And you don't want to go to state? No. Are you sure? He asked. You know what? They can send me to state, but I won't get there, I spit. Then he discussed how to get me out of here. I asked him if he could maybe. He said, but how are you going to stay out of here, he asked. That's the problem, I said. He was a good doctor. I really liked him. He was awesome. You know, he actually didn't really believe in dissociative disorders until he met me. And then he was like, I believe you have it, and I believe now. So I convinced him that it exists because I didn't even know I had it. It's not like I was one of those patients that was going in and being like, I have DID. I'm going to tell you all my alters. I didn't know. So I was just experiencing my alters, and I'm overt. So it's obvious when I switch most of the time, you know? And the amnesia. I have terrible amnesia. I would go to my sessions with him, and we would have like a 3-hour session because he would see me for extensive periods of time. And I wouldn't remember any of it. And I would be so pissed off. I'd be like, I got ripped off. I went to therapy. I can't remember anything. But I did feel a sense of relief physically. So I don't know. He was working with my alters and I didn't know it. Okay, so this one. 5:45 p.m. Jessica sat down next to me at dinner and told me that she'd worked too hard in her life and she couldn't deny it anymore. I'm on a Jesus Christ suicide machine, she said. You were there. You understand. Looking at me. I did not understand. Oh, thank you, Lewis. I appreciate it. You know, everybody with this disorder is a survivor and they should be proud of themselves every day they make it through another day. That's what, you know, singlets or average or whatever you want to call it, people don't understand. It is a heroic act to survive every day with DID for everyone who has it. And I believe that. Okay, 4:16:11. Today, Eric brought to my attention the possibility that I am fixated on the thought of being strangled in my sleep. That's the first thing you worry about, he said. He theorized my mother maybe strangled me in my sleep when I was a kid, a phenomenon that is quite plausible considering, because my mom was severely mentally ill and she had strangled me before. So maybe she did in my sleep and I couldn't remember. She used to like sit by my bed in this big rocking chair when I was like 5-6 years old with a butcher knife, and she'd rock and she would talk about, you know, us dying together and how much she loved me. And it was like the most terrifying thing in the world. I would just lay there with the covers up to here pretending to sleep as she talked about how she was going to kill me and how we were going to die together and go to heaven together. And I have a lot of trauma, guys.
Dissociating?
I think I may have switched. My name is Jeanette. I'm not a happy camper, so don't expect me to be happy. But I'll read this bullshit. Maybe. I'm sorry, I can't do all that bullshit that Brandy does. My role is not to be polite. I'm sorry. That's Jeanette. Jeanette is a recent alter I met. I think she's been around since my teenage years. And her job, I think, is to be cynical, to not believe people, to be suspicious of everything to protect us, you know? And she's kind of dark, you know. But what's going on? Oh, hey, Kendra, how are you? Oh, thank you. Oh, you're incredible too. All of you guys are incredible, and you just don't know how much this means to us. You're as much a part of this channel as I am. You make this channel. You make it, not me. And hugs to you, everybody. Yeah, we all have trauma, and we all should be supportive and loving of each other. You know? We shouldn't be fighting with each other or whatever the community does. We need to support each other. Divided we fall. You understand? So that's why I support people supporting other systems. It's hard to be friends with systems, you know? You have to be very empathic. It's not hard because they're bad people. It's hard because we have so many triggers and so many parts. So let's say you've got one system talking, another system talking, one gets triggered and triggers the other, a fight ensues. But see, even if that happens, we kind of have to look past it and forgive each other and understand that that's what comes with the territory of having DID, you know? That's why I'm friends with Alternative System. I think she's got DID and she's trying her best to deal with it. And a lot of people think she's a bad person, but she's not. She apologizes. She has triggers. And I find that the community sometimes penalizes systems for having triggers and freaking out. And it's like any day now, I could post a video where I say some nasty, horrible thing. Hello, you just met Jeanette. And I wouldn't want that. I would never want to hurt this community. But I can't necessarily control that. I can only control how I fix what I fucked up, you know, when I come back. And I just wish more people understood that about DID. You know, specifically overt DID where there's no communication. And, you know, it happens with covert DID. You know, it's just, we all have to be empathic towards each other because, like I said, nobody else is going to. They don't even believe us. So that's what this community is here for, you know, to be good to each other. Okay, flare back. Okay, what did I write? What was that? Okay. Situation with Robert today. Neil rammed his face into the unit door, bashed his head, fell backward and bashed his head again, this time on the ground. He was escorted to Shands to receive 6 stitches on and above his left eyebrow. Yeah, stuff happens in the hospital, guys. 417. I rapidly switch. You know, I have alters that will come out for a few sentences and go back in. That's just how my DID manifests sometimes, so I switch a lot. Okay, 41711. Dose of Wellbutrin raised to 150 milligrams twice daily. 12 a.m. Brad cut rubber band out of my hair. Pigtails looked like Wendy from Wendy's. He cut it into several pieces, meanwhile claiming he cut a bit of my hair off. He didn't. Brad, oops, me. Did you cut my hair? Brad, just a little. Me, Brad. People have too much hair anyway. Me, for real? Brad, I don't like other people's hair being nicer than mine. Me, you're bald. So that was just an interaction with one of my favorite nurses. 4:18:11. 2 days in a row, a small blackbird has attempted to knock its way through the loft windows. I dare not tell anyone because as soon as I do, it will fly away and I'll look batty. Susan just told me that Dr. G and Dr. R both talked to Dr. H. Dr. Gooch said that state shouldn't even be a thought and that he'd see me if Dr. H discharged me. Dr. R told Dr. H that the Subutex was working and that I was getting better and he should talk to me. Naturally, Dr. H thinks I'm some sort of manipulative spider spinning my pretty word web around anyone who talks to me. Because I swear that's what he thought. He thought I could, hypnotize people with words. I just like people. I like talking to people. I like listening to people, you know? Okay, when I spoke with Dr. H and Dr. M this morning, Dr. M attempted to suggest that I'd cut myself again. She touched my arm and said, "It looks like you have some fresh cuts." "No," I said. "Those are scars." Then later in the conversation, they were trying to find a reason to send me to state. They were trying to find a reason. Then later in the conversation, she asked how I felt. I told her that I felt fine, even good. "Are you sure?" she cooed, implying I was a liar. "Yes," I reiterated firmly. There is a new patient. A grown woman crying loudly into the phone, and I just want to punch her in the face. I wasn't always the most sympathetic person. The scene strikes me as supremely pathetic, which just illustrates my newly cultivated sociopathic tendencies. Probably an altar, right? Thanks, Vista East. You've created another callous asshole. Not that the asshole portion didn't already exist, but I certainly wasn't callous. I think I was switching. Yeah, my shitty doctor was weaving a web, and he caught me in it, that motherfucker. Okay, anyway. There's a new patient screaming her way through the unit. Evidently, she wants to change her clothes. "Do you smell me?" she said. 4:10 p.m. Henry approached me to ask me if I'll let a new patient sleep in my bed. The unit holds 19. They've booked 20. This is a fairly common occurrence. It's happened a number of times since I've been here. Is this legal? Henry walked up and solemnly said, "I'm the charge nurse and I chose you to be my patient." "Why are you being so serious?" I asked. "Henry, we fucked up." Fears about my placement raced through my mind. I just stared. "Henry, we've overbooked." "Me, so?" "Henry, now they've asked me to sweet talk you. Can she sleep in your bed?" "Me, what? Not this bed, right?" Pointing to my day room bed, because I had to sleep in the day room because I was always on watch. The nurse. "I guess it's not permanent, is it?" "Me, no, of course not. As soon as wait, no. I got this messed up. I said, "I guess it's not permanent, is it?" He says, "No, of course not. As soon as someone's discharged, we'll move her." I hate when they do this. It's all about money. He says this, rubbing his fingers together. Me, of course. Henry begins to walk away, then turns back. "Henry, did I tell you I had a venison party this weekend?" "Brad told me." He says, "Yeah, he was supposed to go, but we had to reschedule it for Sunday." Me, "What's a venison party?" He said, "We had venison jerky and steaks and roasts, venison everything." Me, "How many people were there?" He said, 60. Me, "You are popular." Him, "I had only 2 beers. Well, 2.5. Me, "And you didn't invite me?" I'm in the mental hospital. Anyway. He, "It's against the rules. Just kidding. Of course I invited you." Me, "Yeah, you know what's good for you." Him, "I'll talk to you later." Me, "Okay." 4:30, Code Brown drill. Had to stand in the hallway. I don't remember what Code Brown is right now, but I think it explains it a little later. Oh yeah, there were no bunk beds. No bunk beds. Mm-mm. Yeah, bunk beds are the worst. Yeah, you don't want that. 4:19:11. 8:15 a.m. David the Krishna's pacing is driving me crazy. It's the incessant clicking of his flip-flops. Charlie? Hey, baby boy. No, it's too soon. He can be really annoying when he's hungry. He's always hungry early. Okay. I don't feel well today. Once again, I'm tired. My eyes keep closing. And the book keeps dropping from my hands. I thought it was the Subutex, but I haven't had the Subutex yet. It's one of the most irritating things in the world to constantly fall asleep while you attempt to read. Plus, this book, Dancing on My Grave, is taking forever. It's taking so long, it's embarrassing. I read nearly 100 pages yesterday and still have 100 more. It feels endless. Like, why did I keep reading this book if it felt endless? You know? Oh, thank you, Kimberly. They're so sweet. You know, I just think it's important to share as much as you can about your experiences as a person with DID since it's so misunderstood. And the people who can do it should do it. And the people who don't want to do it should do what they can do in their own way, because everybody can contribute somehow, and everybody does. Just being you is a way to help people understand, you know? Okay, so let's see. Oh, okay. Dr. H told me that I'm going to state tomorrow. This is like the end of the journal. So he sent me anyway. He sat across from me, asked me how I've been, and said, I've come to a decision. We all think it's best that you go to state. You're going tomorrow. Like, they snuck this shit up on me. They didn't tell any of the nurses. They didn't tell my doctor. It was wrong. They were supposed to tell the nurses. They were supposed to tell the doctors. They were supposed to give me warning. My face got really hot. I stared at him. I felt as if I was in a poker game. He was holding all the cards. Note, this might be a test. The whole thing makes no sense. He said the staff and team agrees. Not true, because the staff didn't know and they all told me. They were shocked. I saw their faces. And I know that's not true. I was told by Susan yesterday that Dr. G doesn't think I should go to state. And that's the end of that journal. I went to state the next day. I have a separate journal about state, but I mean, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I don't trust doctors. I'm terrified of hospitals because of it. I'm always, like, I literally had to move out of Florida and across the country because of my fear of being put back in state for a whole year, because they threatened me with that when I was sent to state, right? And luckily, I mean, I got so lucky the second time. I mean, I wasn't lucky in the sense that I was on the worst ward in the state for females. You don't even want to know. The staff, it was a nightmare. One of my main traumas is my mom's psychosis. So from, my whole life, from 3 to 10, my mother was extremely psychotic and did a lot of unpredictable, psychotic, delusional things that harmed me. And of course I love her, and she didn't do it on purpose, and she never would have done it if she was well. But this was in the 80s, and they didn't know shit. Like, they didn't know how to treat her. We were a poor family. We didn't know what to do. Back then, what you did was you hid the crazy person in the house, and you just hoped nobody found out, right? So she got sicker and sicker, because if somebody has bipolar disorder, right? Bipolar 1 with psychotic manias, every time you get psychotic, it makes it that much more likely that you will get psychotic again. She got psychotic so many times that at some point she was sort of in a constant state of psychosis, and we just didn't know at the time how to help because we were poor. We didn't have the resources. And so going to the state hospital, where every woman on my ward was psychotic, every single one without exception, except for me, and to be re-traumatized 50 times over every day, all day long, that was just one aspect of it. The other part is the staff. They were physically abusive. They would beat you. They would mock you, make fun of you, yell at you, laugh at you. They would do unjust things to you, criminal things. It was filthy. Plus everybody else is psychotic, so you're scared all the time. Everything is unpredictable. I thought my roommate was going to kill me in my sleep because she thought I was trying to get her deported. It made no sense. It was just the hardest thing in my adult life to get through. All I could do was keep my head down and stay as quiet as possible and hope I didn't get beaten and hope I didn't get the other things that people were getting. And
Your state hospital journal will be another video.
Yeah, there will be videos about state hospital. And also, one thing about the state hospital, there's so many things about the state hospital that bothered me. When I first got there, I saw a doctor. The doctor didn't wear gloves. I saw a nurse. She took my blood, no gloves. They don't care. It was just a really bad place.
What's one of the differences between Florida and here?
What is it?
With the nurses and staff?
Oh, Florida, like I said, is horrible when it comes to mental health care. And technicians don't have to have any education. They take a 5-week course and they get to be a tech. And that's it. You don't have to do shit to become a tech. Here where I live in California now, all the people that work in the hospital, even the technicians, they're not called technicians though, they're called counselors. They have a minimum of a 4-year degree in psychology. It's a totally different world. It's just that Florida was just awful. Thank you, Louis. And thank you, Kendra. Love to you too. I appreciate it. But you find ways to survive. I'll tell you a really fucked up story about a state hospital. When I was there, the president of the hospital came to visit. Now, the president of the hospital was never there. And so, they had all this bullshit. They had a room with ping pong tables and a radio and pool tables. Literally was never opened a day I was there, except the day that the president of the hospital was there. Except that day. Nothing was ever opened unless he was there. And the food was disgusting. It was prison food.
You and I went to that room. When he showed up.
Yeah, no, it's home. So the day that the president of the state hospital came and they actually opened that room because they were trying to pretend like they actually did their jobs, I was walking back with my psychologist because I was one of the very few patients, very few patients out of about 900 patients that got to see a psychologist. Yeah, Florida is hell. It is. So I was one of the very few patients that got lucky enough to have a psychologist, and this psychologist happened to be empathetic towards me. He was my savior. He got me out of there in 5 weeks because he said it was re-traumatizing me every minute I was there, and he was right. And so I was walking across campus with my doctor after seeing him, and there's the president of the hospital with his entourage around with him, right? So they go into that room, and the psychologist says to me, "You want to meet the president of the hospital?" And I'm like, whatever, okay. So I go to meet this man, and he was very polite and nice or whatever, and we ended up playing pool on a pool table that was literally never opened a day I was there, except for that one day. And I wanted to tell this man so bad. I wanted to be like, they beat us. They humiliate us. They dehumanize us. They strip us naked. They make us wait forever to get anything. The food is horrible. They're evil. But I had to sit there and keep my mouth shut and pretend and smile, because if I said anything, they could keep me longer. Because when you go to state, there's no limit to your stay. It's just when they want to let you out. So everything you do counts against you. So I didn't dare do anything because I was so desperate to leave. So desperate, in fact, me and my partner planned an escape if they didn't let me out. We're like, that's it. I'm hopping the fence. Or no, I'm getting in the trunk of the car. You're driving out of here. We're heading to Georgia. I was going to leave Florida forever because I was never going back to state. That's how bad it was. And I had to sit there and smile and play pool with this asshole. It's a Fucking horrible nightmare of a place. The things I saw, unforgivable, criminal. But yeah, I was sent there, but I got out in 5 weeks, which was the shortest time anybody's ever stayed at state. I was golden. I didn't say a fucking word. I said, oh, thank you for helping me. You guys helped me so much. You made me realize how ill I am. Blah, whatever I had to say to get out of there.
The round table.
Oh, and then when they were like once a month, basically how it works is once a month, they give you a meeting with all your staff, right? All your people on your team that you literally never see. Not once do you see these people. So my once a month came around, my one chance to get out of the hospital. You get one chance a month. They were all sitting around this table. They were all like asking me questions, talking. I was sort of prepared by the psychologist because he was nice. He was the one empathetic person there. But then the doctor threw a curveball at me. He asked me a specific question. I can't remember right now because I dissociated in the middle of my one chance to fucking escape. He asked me something that threw me. I got so fucking terrified that I would answer wrong. I went limp. I just did this. My partner covered for me, explained everything. He's the reason I got out. Because I just dissociated. I got so panicked. But he managed to get me out. And I will always appreciate and love him for that. Because it was a nightmare. I would never suggest a state hospital to anybody. And I remember there were people who actually wanted to go to state because they didn't know what state was. They would lie to you about state. They're like, no, it's good. You'll get treated. Bullshit. No treatment there. Torture. That's it. And the food was fucking awful. It was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Back to the funny stories.
Oh, okay. But those are like the story. Like, I have more books, but I mean, hello. It's been like 2.5 hours. I've been taking up so much of your time, guys. But I'm so glad you guys came. You're so nice. Thank you. Do you see this cat? This cat just opened the door further. He's a smart boy. He's a smart boy. Yeah, it was smoke and mirrors. How it worked was this, Lewis. On the outside, like in the units were fucking filthy. My bed was broken. I literally slept on a bed that was slanted downwards because it was broken. The mat was about this thick. You couldn't have sheets that had any kind of elastic in them. So the sheets were sliding all around. It was hot. You stuck to the plastic that was cracked. There was filth everywhere. You're in a unit with 30 to 50 psychotic women who all their periods align. The bathroom ends up filled with blood everywhere. You don't want to touch anything. You have to worry about people stealing your shit. You have to worry about staff attacking you. It's just awful. Awful. Oh, good night, Kendra. We're about to go to anyway, but thank you so much for coming. So nice to see you here. Yeah, but the one thing they did, Lewis, was this. The units were fucking filthy, but what they did was they made sure those lawns were manicured perfectly. They mowed those lawns like their lives depended on it. The outside of the hospital looked real nice and neat, but in the units, fucking disgusting. And that's where we spent most of our time. And they did have this one fake unit that they didn't use. They used it for like walkthroughs so people could go to the fake unit and they could be like, oh, this unit is so nice. Look at how nice and neat. Nobody was on that unit. It was specifically there just for tours, but people didn't know that were touring. It's a big fucking fraud perpetrated on people. Anyway, I've taken up your time.
You'll watch Chattahoochee online.
Yeah, if you want to know about my hospital, go watch Chattahoochee. Go watch Chattahoochee. So take care, Kendra. Okay. I'm taking up all your time. I'm going to get going, guys. I love you, and thank you so much for being here. I was so afraid people wouldn't come. I was so scared. I have more journals. I have journals from the state hospital itself. I have journals from other hospitals, and maybe I'll do this again if people like it, let me know if it's something you'd want again, Thank you for everything.
Comments, spray.
Thank you guys for coming. We love you, and you guys have a good, safe night. Drink some hot tea and cuddle with some teddy bears, and just take care of yourselves, okay? Okay, we're gonna go now. You're welcome, misdiagnosed particles, and thank you for being here. Yeah. We thank you all. Oh yeah, me too. I'm so glad it's in my past. And hopefully it's never in my future. Hopefully. But I do tend to end up in hospitals, so but hopefully here they don't have as bad of hospitals, Anyway, I'm glad you all came. Thank you so much. You're incredible. You're all incredible. And take care. We love you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.